The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask is one of my favorite games, and today I will try to beat the game without ever using a sword. I know Link is known to be an epic swordsman, but not today, gamers. Today, he's not gonna be using that dangerous, sharp, metallic weapon. Can we beat the game that way? The rules are simple. We cannot use the sword, and we'll have to use other tools in order to clear the game. That's it. We only have 72 hours to do this, so quickly hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and let's just jump into it. The game starts with us chilling with Epona up until those little brats attack us and knock us down. Hey bro, that's my ocarina, give it back! Let's pursue those evil dudes and kick their butts. At least we still have our sword, but as you know, it's pretty much useless because we cannot use it and there's no enemies on the way. So let's just hop on these platforms and oh no! I fell down a hole and got turned into this. Ugh, that's gross. Well, at least being a Deku Scrub will make the quest easier, because the Deku Scrub cannot even hold a sword. Let's make our way into Clock Town, and we have to do a couple of side quests in order to regain the Ocarina of Time. This includes playing hide and seek with these kids, talking to a fairy, exploring the sewers, watching the moon cry like a baby. But eventually, I did all of that and made my way back to the clock tower. I met the school kid, spat on him, and I got my Ocarina of Time back and played the Song of Time to get back 3 days earlier. Then I spoke to the Happy Mask salesman to get my buddy back. Ah, finally, I'm a human again! But using my sword is still illegal though. Anyways, before leaving town and exploring the dangerous swamp, I got myself a couple of masks that might be useful later down the line, and I also went to the town shop in order to get a proper weapon. If you've watched my Ocarina of Time without a sword video, then you know that this Deku Stick is the most epic weapon we can actually get, and for only 10 rupees, it's a steal, so let's just get a bunch. One of the masks I wanted to get was the Blast Mask, which is basically a free bomb in your face. And to get it, well, we have to hit the thief that tries to steal it from this old woman. I tried using my Deku Stick to rescue her, and the stick just broke, which meant the thief escaped and I just couldn't get the mask. Oh well, guess I'm gonna have to buy bombs like everybody else. The final mask I wanted to get before exploring the swamp and getting to the good stuff was the Bunny Hood, which allows me to run super fast, and that is quite helpful. Now, to be fair, there aren't a whole lot of enemies on the way to the swamp, and when there are, well, you can either use the Deku Sticks or you can just turn into a Deku Scrub and hurt them with your spin attack. So soon, I made my way to the forest, followed the monkey, got a potion to heal the witch, and then used the boat to get to the Deku Swamp Palace, which is a dungeon where you'll need to be a Deku Scrub for most of it, meaning that once more, we don't actually need to use the sword. After hiding from the guards and learning the Song of Awakening from the monkey, I made my way to Woodfall, revealed the dungeon that was hiding under the water, and we are finally ready to start the first temple of this game, the Woodfall Temple. So this temple is actually pretty fun, featuring a whole lot of poison water in which you definitely don't want to swim. Being a Deku Scrub allows you to bounce on the water and obtain the key, the map, the compass, and all other items you need. The mid-boss is a Lizalfos, and he's pretty easy to beat using the Deku Scrub bubble attack. In fact, he actually died in 2 hits. Pfft, what a weakling. Even the other frog mini-boss is quite easy. You're going to need to use the hero's bow to defeat it, which is a pretty good weapon that will definitely prove to be super useful in this quest without a sword. The rest of the dungeon ain't too bad, and I soon made my way to the temple boss Odolwa, who isn't too difficult to beat once you understand the pattern. Basically, use the flowers as a Deku Scrub to jump out and drop a Deku Nut on his head. Once he is stunned, you can use pretty much anything to hurt him. No need for the sword. Soon, Odolwa was gone, the first mask was ours, and we learned a song that will definitely help us finish the game. Well, that was a good first cycle. Normally, after all of that, you must save the Deku princess by cutting the vines with your sword, and you need to put her inside of a bottle to bring her back to the palace. But since I cannot use my sword and no other weapons can actually break those vines, well, I guess we'll just leave her there. I mean, there's no point in rescuing her besides saving the monkey, and I couldn't care less. Time to deposit all of our money and play the Song of Time before the moon crashes and kills us all, because we're definitely going to need more time to beat the 3 remaining dungeons. Alright, we're back to day 1. So let's exit Clocktown from the north side and use the bow and arrow to visit the mountain village. The enemies on the way can be defeated using the Deku bubbles and other weapons, and soon you'll reach Goron village, only to enter a shrine and get the Lens of Truth. This tool will allow you to see Darmani, the dead Goron, and following his ghost will bring you to this secret cave, and this is where we'll be awarded the Goron Mask, which transforms us into a big, strong Goron, and gives us new fighting moves, which don't actually require us to use the sword, so good stuff. Using those new moves, we can do a couple of quests needed to get all of the tools to get to the next temple. We had to talk to a crying Goron baby, get some hot spring water, melt his dad, learn a lullaby, and put him back to sleep. And that gives us the Goron lullaby, which we'll then use to make this big Goron go sleep and head up to Snowhead Temple. This very cold temple was always a favorite of mine. Maybe it's the eerie music or just the fact that it's a big tower you gotta climb on using Goron Link. I don't know, I just always liked it. Anyways, as a Goron, you have your fists to defend yourself, so it's not too difficult to defeat the enemies on the way, collect some keys, and solve the puzzles. Eventually, you'll reach this room with a mini-boss who's some sort of teleporting wizard. He's not too hard to defeat, and as Link, you can just use the arrows to completely destroy him, thus avoiding using the sword once more. Defeating him will give us the fire arrows, which are going to be needed to finish the temple. The rest of the dungeon is not too difficult, and we'll have to fight the wizard once more, but arrows are all that we need. It's time for the boss, Goth. Goth? How do you pronounce that? Anyways, it's a pretty fun boss. You have to chase it using the Goron roll, and once he falls down, we'll just use arrows to shoot the eye or just punch it as a Goron, and after a while he's going to die and you'll get your second mask. We've got 2 more to go now. Here's a funny story. While I was doing the temple, I went out of my way to collect all of those stray fairies to get the fairy bonus, not knowing what it was. And can you guess what it was? It's the spin technique for my sword. Oh, talk about a waste of time, considering I cannot even use a sword. I'm never doing that again. I also did the Powder Keg Quest because we're going to need it to open up Romani Ranch and rescue Epona, which will actually be required to get to the Great Bay area. It's actually surprisingly simple to shoot all of the targets to get the horse. As we are also going to need a bunch of empty bottles for the Zora Egg quest later down the line, I also made sure to defeat all of the aliens to get another one. After pushing this poor drowning Zora and healing his soul, I got the Zora mask, and now it's time to recover some Zora eggs and learn a song that will allow us to visit the next temple. The pirate fortress is kind of a tricky dungeon, and we'll need to stun the pirates by using the bow and arrow. This will allow us to grab the hookshot and explore the entire fortress to recover all of the eggs. But you know what? The pirates won't let their eggs go that easily, and will put up quite a fight, which is actually not a problem when you have the correct weapon, and that weapon is not the sword, nope, it's the Zora Punch. After recovering 4 eggs and snapping a picture of a pirate lady, we'll be able to bring those back into the aquarium. Why did I snap a picture of this lovely pirate, you might be asking? No, not because I'm a perv, it's because we need to show it to this perv in the house to recover the seahorse, who's going to allow us to explore the Pinnacle Rock area. This is where the last 3 eggs are actually located, and in order to recover those, we need to defeat evil fish snakes. And they're easy to defeat if you use your magic attack as a Zora, so once again, no need for a sword. After recovering the eggs, I went back to the lab and hatched them all to learn the new wave Bossa Nova. Now it's time to go see the Zora girl, play that new song, and ride this turtle to get to the most annoying temple ever created in the history of mankind, the Great Bay Temple. So, as annoying as this temple can be, most fights do take place underwater, meaning you can use your epic Zora fighting moves to defeat the enemies on the way. The hookshot and the bow will also be great tools to defeat the mini-boss, Wart, who's kind of annoying, but it's possible to destroy it without the use of a sword, but trust me, it's way more difficult. Now that we have the ice arrow, we can finish up the rest of the temple. We'll also have another mini-boss to beat up, but this one only requires arrows and ice arrows, so it's pretty easy. Time for the boss, Georg, and this dude is quite annoying. Thankfully, you have to use arrows to defeat him during the first phase, and then the second one takes place underwater, forcing you to fight it as a Zora. So once again, no sword required. Before playing the Song of Time and going to the final area, I needed to raise those two dudes and get the Garo mask. It was pretty easy. And I soon realized that I also needed to go to Ikana Graveyard and fight this big skeleton dude to get a mask that allowed me to go underground and fight another powerful dude to get a song that will allow me to heal a poor soul. Those fights were all possible thanks to the power of the Goron mask. Who needs a sword when you have a punch? We also have to go into a well and give out a bunch of items to some Gibdos in order to get the mirror shield. Get ready to do lots of back and forth to clock down to the shop to buy what you're missing. To be honest, this part of the game is pretty annoying, but it's not difficult at all. So once all of this item exchanging quest is done, we'll get the mirror shield, which will allow us to explore the ancient castle of Ikana. This mini dungeon is actually kinda cool and does feature a couple of enemies, but we can actually defeat them all using the transformations. And the Goron punch is pretty powerful. The mini-boss is tricky, but once again, just punch with your Goron fist, then switch to Link to destroy the skeletons with the mirror shield, and everything will be good. After learning the song that creates this very scary and cursed statue, we'll have to climb up the stone tower, and this is just a tedious puzzle which doesn't involve any fighting, so we'll be able to reach the fourth and final temple. This one is a bit confusing, as some chests are actually upside down, but it will all make sense later down the line. There's going to be a couple of enemies to fight, but as per usual, we can use a bunch of weapons to clear those fights. No need for the sword at all. The mini-bosses are actually kinda difficult, but I did manage to clear them all by using the Goron mask. We also get the light arrows in this dungeon, and these can be used to flip the dungeon upside down and get all of the chests that we couldn't obtain previously. I told you it was going to make sense. Anyways, after multiple puzzles, I made my way to the boss room. Twin Mold is an interesting boss, as you have to fight it in two different phases. The first one involves lots of arrows shooting, and the second one involves the giant mask. A mask that turns you into a big buff dude that can actually punch enemies with his fists. So no need for a sword once again, which is actually what I wanted for this quest. It took me a while, but eventually the dude was defeated, and now it's time for us to finish this quest once and for all. Now that we have all 4 giants masks, we can go ahead and play the song to stop the moon from falling down. Yay! We did it! We saved the world! Uh-oh, Majora's mask is still alive and well, and made its way to the moon. Okay, let's follow this monstrosity and defeat it. Majora's mask has 3 different phases. The first one is just the mask, and basically, to defeat this one, you can just use Zora's boomerang attack to hurt the mask from behind. Once it's down, you can do your epic ninja attack to deal some damage. Eventually, all 4 masks will also attack you, but you can just use your arrows to defeat those. The second phase is pretty weird, with Majora growing legs and doing all sorts of senseless dances. Keep using the Zora technique to stun him down and deal some damage, and this phase will be done quite fast. Here is Majora's Wrath, and this final phase I couldn't actually beat as a Zora. In fact, I had to stun it using the arrows to then swap to Goron Link and deal massive damage by punching it. This boss dodges arrows quite well, so it was a bit annoying, but I can assure you that it is possible to beat it with this strategy. And there we go. We have defeated Majora's Mask, destroyed the moon, and we made it to a new day. No more going back in time required. That's pretty cool. Yes, it is possible to beat The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask without ever using the sword. In fact, with all of the transformation masks and the abilities they unlock, this was quite an easy challenge. Ocarina of Time was a much different beast to tackle, so tap the cards on screen right now to go watch this video. As for me, well, I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye bye!